hello. How's it going? Happier message. I just had to vent that out. I love getting confirmation. But tonight I just got to do a few things, and nobody's shit at work will affect me ever again. But it will land on their own doorstep. Every evil thought they think, every dirty fucking look, they're only going to spank themselves with it, because I'm so done. I'm so done with spiritual warfare on so many accounts. Like, I've had a fucking tumor, I've had a lot of shit, and yes, things are going to happen, and some of these were probably medical things. But when you have the foresight I do, and the wisdom behind it, nothing gets by me. Because people are morons that do evil most of the time, and we're lucky for it. Because they're always easy and obvious, like things that particularly took out pharaohs that happened to me. I know there's not coincidences, even though it is technically hereditary in your line. It just wouldn't make sense to spring up without any other symptoms, or like some of those things that ancient people died from. It took time. It's not like they just woke up one day. I mean, sometimes it did with viruses and stuff, because there was no antibiotics or anything, but it took time to kill Tutankhamun and, you know, all of the really famous ones that they dug up in Hatshepsut, like my ancestor Nefertiti. You know, they all had things that could be fixed, but it took time. Like Hatshepsut actually died from infection in her tooth that would have taken root, decayed her tooth, gotten into her blood system, then took a few weeks for the blood poisoning to take her life. So it wasn't something that just sprung up overnight like it did for me. You know what I mean? And then Tutankhamun, a lot of his injuries were health related due to their birth. I was born early myself, so was Tutankhamun. He was a preemie, and in the time, this is all stuff historians don't fucking know. I'm giving a little bit of a history lesson since they destroyed all the fucking shit trudging through there. But he was born premature, which would have why he was so beloved, why he was so uplifted for someone so young, is because they watched this little tiny little thing that could fit in your hand, which back then, you know, they didn't have medicine, they didn't have things. That baby died, you know, or it came out dead. But then they watched this baby flourish without like medical advancement. So to them, Tutankhamun was more God than human. They thought in their mind and their religion, they thought that the gods had touched him specifically to make that boy live, and the reason why he had ailments was because he was more of a god in a boy's body. That was the myth behind Tutankhamun. The boy king, as they called him. He didn't live very long because of, you know, if he had lived in this time and he was born premature, they probably could have helped him. He was bow-legged, which caused some issues with his veins. Blood flow got fucked up. People thought he got murdered because of the marks in his brain, but when you reevaluate the autopsy, it's the embalming process. Or like, well, they used to scoop the brains out of the skull and pull it out through your nose. So in the process of doing that, the tool had scraped Tutankhamun's skull, giving the impression of a blunt force trauma, which was false. Once they looked into it deeper, he was not murdered. He died from his conditions, and he was a beloved person because they actually believed that when Tutankhamun died, it was because they had mistreated the god boy in some way, that the gods had come and taken Tutankhamun from them because they weren't being fair. They couldn't help his pain, they couldn't treat him, and a lot of healers in that time were actually murdered for not helping him with his pain. Like they would call in because he had a lot of problems with his legs. It was very painful. So they would bring in healers. Can you help this boy? And that's why I think he got this misconception of a spoiled boy, because he did get snippy on certain occasions. But when you think about it, when you're in consistent pain, and that pain would have been intense in his legs all day, every day, without any pain relief, it fucks with your sleep, you're gonna have grumpy days. So I think the moments where he seemed bratty was those really painful days, which is a misconception of a person who is genuinely happy and living with all that pain. I think that's a testament of his character, not a strike against him. But, everybody can say what they want about Tutankhamun. This is just, some of the things that I got in my own downloads. I got a lot about Nefertiti as well, because everything mingles in that. There was a lot of incest, but I got most about Hatshepsut and her masculine energy, because when I was younger and I had traumas, I took on Hatshepsut's strengths, if you will. That was her character as a ruler. She, people believed that she was forced to be manlike and make her statues manlike because of the perception of the people couldn't fathom Pharaoh that was a female and did well, but that was false. I think there were some people that were against her because she was a woman and she was such a good architect, and she built a lot of infrastructure, a lot of modern stuff of that time came from her. She was very, very smart. She was very conscious of the earth and a little bit ahead of her time as far as going green in that era, if you could. The planet was just cleaner. We didn't affect it much because we didn't have the technology we have now. But she created massive feats in her lifetime, and people were jealous of the fact that she had done so much better than her male people above her or before her. But she wanted to appear manly. She took on the role of, I want to be known for my strengths, and I am not a pushover because I'm a woman. Don't take my kindness as a weakness. A lot of people feared Hatshepsut. She did have bloody trials. But when you look into Hatshepsut and who she was more of a builder and a creator and a creative person. Like, she cared more about what she left behind. And she did invest a lot in tombs as well, just like the other ones. But when she did war, and when she did things that were vicious, it was always for a bigger purpose. Or she was trying to stop a villain like Hitler. There was a couple people in her time that were like that were attacking her loyalists, like not people from her country, but people that she would trade with or work with. They were like sharing goods and knowledge. They would get attacked and come to Hatshepsut for help. She was a pharaoh, and she was very loyal to those who were loyal to her. So she took up arms to protect a lot of people. But believe it or not, even though she is the most feared and revered, and she shouldn't be the most feared because they were very evil pharaohs that give Bloody Mary, make her look like a saint, you know what I mean? But she is remembered for being so stern and deadly, if you will, but because people feared her, it added to it. But she was more of a brain. She would attack everything about your life and have you destroy yourself and completely obliterate your own chances, and it made her seem like she had some kind of a supernatural ability when really she just was a super mind, and she was a little bit of a detective and would do some dirty work and set them up. She would rather outwit you than kill you. But as every pharaoh faced, at some point you had to be bloody, and she had that. But I don't know why I dove into this so much, but it came out, so maybe they want it heard. I come from a great line of people, and I'm proud of them, but there are a lot of smears. But isn't that true for every culture? the good and the bad. I love them. They look out for me, but they also protect me too.